Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA weekly analysis and update. As we all know, last week was not good for NVIDIA overall. We observed lots of volatility and downward pressure on NVIDIA stock last week. In this video, we'll discuss how NVIDIA can move this week using technical charts, fundamentals, and other data analysis. Now, let's get started. On Friday, we noticed some positive recovery for NVIDIA. NVIDIA went up about 2.15%, and that's a good sign. If you remember in my previous video, I mentioned that yes, Nvidia is under pressure, but I was not expecting Nvidia to fall big from there. I shared with you guys the support and the resistance level in that video. We'll take a look those levels again in this video during Fibonacci level session. Moving on further, last 5 days, Nvidia is down about 5.22%. But if you take a look overall picture year to date, Nvidia is still up about 187%, and that's too big. So yes, there was some correction due, and that's what we noticed last week and before. But still, Nvidia has more room to go further down. And we noted that after the positive uptrend, we see some correction. That's what we saw last quarter and one more quarter prior as well. So, similar movement we are experiencing last week and before as well. But it does not mean that the downtrend on NVIDIA has started. It's just a correction or some adjustment of the prices that happens each quarter. Now, let's take a look weekly candlestick chart for NVIDIA. So on your screen, you see weekly candlestick chart for NVIDIA. You see last week we had negative closing for NVIDIA, and before that we had positive closing for NVIDIA, and one more week prior we had another negative closing for NVIDIA. So last 3-4 weeks you see no clarity of direction, ups and down, right? But before that you see that we had some good times for NVIDIA, 5 of 6 consecutive positive closings for Nvidia, followed by some negative closing or volatility. Similar behavior we noted here, some good times for Nvidia, and then after that, some volatility or correction. And similar behavior we saw 2 quarters prior, probably about 11 or 12 consecutive positive closing. But after that, we saw some volatility or some correction. But NVIDIA recovered after that. So similar movement or behavior we are noticing here. You see that? So probably another week or two, we might expect some volatility. But after that, NVIDIA should recover before the next earnings. And I guess this is pretty normal for NVIDIA for each quarter. Now let's take a look forward P for NVIDIA. So as of Friday last week, NVIDIA forward P was at 39.96, much lower than 1 week prior. So NVIDIA continued to show a downtrend last week. But next week, I'm expecting some recovery for NVIDIA. So based on the historical data, we noted that below 40 forward P NVIDIA is not sustainable. So it recovers from there. And same thing when NVIDIA goes above 50 forward PE. So between 40 to 50 forward PE is more stable region for NVIDIA. So that's what I think there is not much room for NVIDIA to go further down. Probably another few percentage point, but not much. Moving on further, Palantir continued to go up last week as well. SMCI had a good time last week and also 1 week prior. AMD forward P is around 31. Probably, in my opinion, Wednesday or Thursday was a good time to buy AMD because at that time AMD was trading very low, below 135 level. And that was a good point to buy. Still not too late. Now let's take a look quarterly percentage change analysis for Nvidia. On your screen, you see adjusted closing price for Nvidia after the earnings and also the cumulative percentage change. So at this point, Nvidia is down about 5.2% after the earnings announcement. Okay, but one quarter prior, Nvidia ended 23% positive after the earnings. But if you see the minimum level Nvidia touched in the last quarter was 12.8% down from the earnings announcement. And one quarter prior, it was probably about 8.2% positive from the previous earnings announcement. So in this quarter, we are at 5.20% at this point, but the minimum level it touched in this quarter is 7.35%. Still, there is more room to go further down in this quarter compared with the previous quarter. The previous quarter, it was down about 12.8%. And that translates to NVIDIA stock price of 127, corresponding to 13% down in this quarter. And if you remember, probably about 2 weeks ago, I shared with you min-max projection level for NVIDIA for this quarter. Let's take a look one more time. So these are the levels that I shared with you. So minimum price projection for NVIDIA for this quarter is about 128. The maximum NVIDIA can touch 172. So in my opinion, NVIDIA should move between these two values in this quarter. Now let's take a look at Fibonacci levels for NVIDIA. So you see 180-day hourly interval chart for NVIDIA on your screen and also Fibonacci levels. So the next level of support after 132 was 126. So Nvidia went down last week, but it could not sustain below 132. So probably 132 was a strong support level. And if Nvidia goes down further this week, then 126 again is a very strong support level. I do not expect Nvidia to go down below 126 anytime soon. So if Nvidia goes down to this level, I would consider a very good buy point. On the upper side, the next level of resistance is at 140. So if Nvidia tries to go down further, it might experience some pushback from this level. And after that, we have all-time high, and that is 152.89. Let's take a look MACD for Nvidia. So you see MACD chart on your screen. At this point, MACD line is above zero line, and that's a good sign. It tells that Nvidia started gaining some momentum on Friday. So I hope on Monday Nvidia can go further up, just like we saw during this time, and that was on 11/18 or 11/19. Now let's take a look RSI for Nvidia. So you see RSI chart on your screen based on 180-day hourly interval chart. RSI is at 58, slightly overbought, but I would not consider it a pure overbought situation. Still, Nvidia has more room to go further up this week. Let's take a look at the shorter time period or time horizon for RSI. For example, in a 30 minutes chart, RSI is at 55, slightly below the hourly interval chart. Let's take a look 15 minutes chart. In a 15 minutes chart, RSI is at 50, further below than 30 minutes chart. So hourly interval chart RSI was at 58, 30 minutes 55, and 15 minutes is 50. So as the time period or time horizon goes down, RSI also showing trending down. So what does it tell? It tells that in the shorter time period, RSI does not show any overbought or oversold situation, but in the larger time horizon, slightly overbought, right? So this means that the risk of Nvidia going down further in the longer time horizon is high, meaning that before next earnings, Nvidia might take a little dip. Now, let's take a look at some news regarding Nvidia. So in last few days, I haven't seen any significant analysis or news regarding Nvidia, but still let's scroll down further to see if we have anything that we should be looking. Let's take a look this one that says Nvidia stock rises. Why the good news is back. Balance.com. Let's open it. It says that the shares rose 1.2% to 136.94, moving higher along with the broader chip sector rally. European semiconductor stocks laid the foundation for US gains Thursday as US plans to curb chip sales to China may not be as tough as expected. So that's a very strong statement. Remember, Nvidia is under pressure since past few weeks, and the major reason is the tariff, and there's lots of uncertainty regarding the impact of tariff on the overall tech sector. But here it says that the market overall was expecting a big impact, but looks like the impact may not be as big as the market thought before. But in my opinion, we would not know the real impact of tariff until it gets implemented. We might see some retaliation from China and other countries as well. So at this point, it's too early to say the impact would be not that tough. So now let's take a look this one that says Nvidia's next big catalyst. Analyst sees Jensen Huang-led company's stock jumping 27% by early 2025. Let's open it. So it says that the anticipation is fueled by expectations surrounding Jensen Huang keynote address at the event. Probably they're talking about the AI event that happens sometime in Q1. And yes, during that time frame, we noted that Nvidia gets some positive momentum. So moving on further, they say that analysts at Citi have placed Nvidia on a positive catalyst watch for the upcoming 90 days. Business Insider reported on Thursday, and their price target is 175, that is 27% up from now. And I also shared my price projection for Nvidia, and my maximum price projection was also around 172. So 175 price target for next few months kind of makes sense to me. So apart from those two news or analysis, I do not find any significant news or analysis in past few days. And regarding the economic data, nothing big is due this week except the employment report and the unemployment rate that are going to be published on Friday, the December 6th. And those two data are very important. So that's all about my NVIDIA analysis for last week and also the assessment for this week. If I summarize my video, I do not expect NVIDIA to fall big this week. Yes, there can be some volatility on NVIDIA, but overall, I'm expecting NVIDIA to close positive by the end of this week. I mean, NVIDIA should show a positive ending week or the positive candlestick bar this week. I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.